Okay, so I've got another example for you, and this is actually my example back when I started my first online business. This is where I was teaching people about the stock market. So again, I had no credentials whatsoever. I wasn't a stockbroker, registered investment advisor, anything like that. I was just someone who had a passion for the stock market and spent a lot of time studying it. So I started a newsletter about the stock market. And that first newsletter went out to like 19 people. I mentioned that to you earlier. It was actually 17 people. It was 19 email addresses. One was my second email address. One was my wife's email address. But it was, 19. So, but here's that list. This is just like John started, except for he had that 1,800 people. I had 19 people. That list that started there with 19 eventually grew into 80,000 people. It's sort of ironic. That's the number John's at right now. I'm sure he's going bigger, but I got to about 80,000. So how do you go from 19 people to 80,000 people? Very simple. I really focused on getting people to opt in. That was like the number one metric in my site was how many people I got to opt in every day. I had a graph, and I graphed every single day how many people I got to opt in. And it started off with every few days I get one, and then it got up to the point where I get one every day, and then 3 or 4 every day. Eventually I was getting like 30, 35 people per day. 30, 35 people a day, that's like 1,000 people a month. It's 12,000 people a year. I did that for 7 or 8 years, and do the math. You end up around 80,000. Of course, you get some unsubscribes along the way, but every now and then I would do some promotions and stuff. So I ended up just over 80,000 people. All along, kept on testing and tweaking the process, working on getting people to opt in. So in any case, this was this list. And the thing about this list was, actually I'm gonna do a little modification right here. It wasn't just a list, it was a list of investors. Or actually, I don't know if they were investors. They were people interested in investing. They were interested in the stock market from an investing standpoint. Now, for those of you who don't know much about the stock market, there's investors and there's also traders. And traders are interested in the market as well, but investors usually have a longer time frame. Investors, they're in and out of the market. Investors go in the market and stay in the market. So there's this other universe of, it's similar, people that are, they're both interested in the stock market, but these folks are more intensely interested and more short term in and out of the market. So I had an interest in both of these areas, and I had knowledge about both these areas, but I started this list, and after I got that list, I think it was about, let's just say, I think it was around 1,600 people after 4 or 5 months, 4, 5, 6 months, and at that point, I actually had someone, it was a mentor, and that mentor came to me and he said, and he was a trader, and he's like, hey Jeff, you've got some success here, you're building up some success with publishing, and I got to mention, first of all, these are free. This is a free newsletter. Okay, so I wasn't charging anything, I was just building this list, hoping someday that I'd make some money from it, really. And so this list, so this person came to me and said, my mentor said, hey, let's partner up and create a product for traders. And that's what we did. So this was that first launch that did $1,650. So what I did was I created a little mini launch. This is that very first launch. And what I did was I created a launch list. I didn't call it a launch list at the time. I didn't know what a launch list was. No one did, frankly. But I created a second list. I invited these people to join this list, gave them a bunch of free content for about a month, and then I made this offer for this product. We did the $1,650, and we were off to the races and kept on building from there. Then we did launch after launch after launch. That's where we did the 6,000, and then we did the 8,000, and we kept on getting better. We eventually did like a $17,000 launch, but we kept on getting better, doing about 2 to 3 launches a year. And so basically, I took this investing list, didn't really, you know, and then I rolled off a launch list, and then I sold people into this trading list. Kept on doing these occasional launches. So we kept this for sale every day of the year, but 2 or 3 times a year we put together a launch, a promotion. We would offer a discount. We would offer a bonus, an extra report, extra time, extra subscription time, and we would create a launch and do a promotion for that and do another launch. Then I'm like, okay, well, this is going along pretty good. But then I found the middle ground. And what I learned in publishing to both of these groups is that there was this middle group, and they were people that they traded more often than the investors, but they traded less often than the full-out traders. So these are sort of long-term traders or short-term investors, so to speak. And I found out that this big group was out there. I found that out because these people would always write back to me and tell me what they wanted. So what we did was we created another launch. We created this product, created another launch list. Didn't create the product, actually created a launch for it. Sent people from the investors list, sent people from the traders list into this launch list. And it's a little more complicated because this traders list, we had a prospect list and a buyers list. So we sent both of those, all 3 of those universes into the launch list for this one, and then we launched this thing. And that launch was that $106,000 launch. That was the first launch I did that did over 6 figures. It was a great launch, beautiful launch, it's incredible. It was all profit. We had no partners, we had no costs. We hadn't created the product yet. The product was actually that they're going to get a daily email from us telling them what we thought was going to happen the next day in the stock market. So literally, there was no cost. I mean, we were going to send them for a year's subscription, one email a day. So we're going to send them 250 short emails that says we think the market's going up or it's going down. So literally no cost to fulfill. There was no JVs, nothing, just $106,000. After merchant expenses, we ended up with like $102,000, $103,000. So that was completely awesome. And the thing is we just responded to the market demand. The market said, hey, these people said, hey, we know you're doing the short-term trading stuff, but I'm not a short-term trader. I'm not a day trader. How can I use all your wisdom? And these folks are like, well, that day trading stuff's really cool, but I've got a job. I can't do that. I need to, I need something a little longer term. I'd like to trade on a daily basis. So we just responded to that market demand, made up this offer, put people on a launch list, ran them through the sequence. And now we're starting to talk about some real money, right? But it didn't end there, of course. It doesn't. Just like with John Gallagher, we come up with more ideas. So then we came up with this idea for webinars. And we did these paid webinars where we would sit there and watch the market and make comments throughout the day, and people would pay us $200 or $300 to watch our comments for a day or two, just to learn from us. Okay, so what did we do then? We created another launch list. Now, what did we do with the launch? We just fed people from each one of these. Each one of these got fed into this launch list, and then we sold the webinar. Didn't end there. These webinars, I think we were doing, 30, let's just say 30,000. It was at least 30,000. It might have been more. We do these a few times a year. Then there was the home study course. The home study course. And what did we do? We did another one. We just drove everyone into the home study course. That thing did, rolled that out. First time we rolled it out was, $110,000. Again, that was no partners, no affiliates. Now, we did have some costs because we were shipping out books and DVDs and CDs. But each one of these, we just responded to what the market was telling us. And we were building a product portfolio. And that's the business launch formula. You're doing these launches, you're creating great products. You're creating great products because you're creating what the market is asking you for. You're doing it in a very interactive fashion. You're building this relationship all the way along. You're just doing what the market tells you. And next thing you turn around, you've got a whole bunch of different products, and you're on a roll.